Why does our individuality make our lives so darn miserable? As a creative, I have spent so much time chasing individuality because individuality in my creative art is so much important to me. But it's that individuality that I crave and value so much that also brings so much calamity and displeasure to my life. American society oppresses its youth with this obsession of individuality. The idea that you need to break away from your parents and become your own unique individual the second you turn 18. I've been an adult now for 12 years, and I spent that entire time chasing my individuality like American society told me I was supposed to do. And that chase ultimately cost me $80,048 and forced me to work 65 hours a week for the betterment of my entire working life. I'm fortunate enough to be part of the more successful side of society, but how do these pressures affect those who are less fortunate than I or just unlucky in general? Generational wealth is the most common way for your average middle-class American to ever experience any sort of financial freedom. Think houses or cars, things of that nature, things that you inherit from your ancestors, from your parents or your grandparents, because buying a house these days is darn near impossible, but if you inherit one from your parents and or grandparents, that makes it a whole lot easier and more affordable. Same with cars. Cars are very expensive and they depreciate and they blow up on you in about 10 years or so. But if you can inherit a gently used car that your grandparents used like maybe twice their entire life, then boom, now you've got a brand new practically car, or you've got a home, and you've inherited that from the people before you. But it is our own obsession with individuality that keeps that financial freedom out of our grip. Like we're just reaching for the fishing pole in that commercial. He's like, oh, you almost got it. You know that commercial I'm talking about. And that is us with generational wealth, and that is caused by society's pressure for us to become our own individuals. And it is because of that pursuit of individuality that we oftentimes miss the opportunities that would be handed down to us through generations. And those opportunities are either lost, we sell the house that we would have otherwise inherited because we moved 50 states over because we needed to just get away, and now when your parents are moving out, they're downsizing, what have you, the only thing that can happen is that house gets sold. Asking why and understanding why is the biggest power up in life. In 2015, when I joined the working world, I was surrounded by so many people with varying levels of work experience and life experience, and all of these people were like double my age, if not more than that even. And so they were telling me these stories about their lives, about their working lives, and the things that they would do differently. And in the back of my mind, I'm sitting back here and I'm thinking, I'm like, why are they telling me this? Are they telling me this because they just want to go back in time and experience their glory days? Are they telling me this because they feel like I can actually benefit from it if I learned from their life experiences and did something different? And the truth remains that it's probably somewhere in between the both of them. Anybody who's telling you a story or sharing any sort of information with you has ulterior motives, I'm sure. But at the end of the day, these people don't have much to gain by telling some young person what they would do differently if they had a stab at things. And you don't have to take all of their advice verbatim. You don't have to take it exactly for face value, but you do and you should take it as valuable life experience. Because again, as society would teach us, as society would press onto us, we are to be our own individuals, be our own unique people. Just forget about the stuff that all these old people are saying around us. When in reality, what that does is that alienates us from the experiences and the things that you can learn from those who did the things before you. And times are changing. They did the thing decades ago. There's a million reasons why you can't take their advice verbatim, but to ignore it entirely, as society would promote you to do, is just as dangerous, if not more so dangerous, because then you're more liable to just repeat all the same mistakes they did simply because you refuse to listen to them because I'm independent and I'm going to make my own way, darn it. So then that leads us to the question of why. Why is individuality so valued in American society if it can also be so damaging? And the quick and easy answer to that is control. Society has a much better control on you and can make you their little puppet if you are just going to continually making the same mistakes that your ancestors did over and over and over again. And that is what this individuality promotes. Because if your parents went to college, went horribly in debt to a degree that they couldn't do anything with, and they said, hey, don't follow your passions because it's not going to get you anywhere in life, and then you're like, no, you can't tell me what to do, mom and dad, I'm going to go to college, get a degree that's useless, be in debt forever, and repeat the same exact mistakes you did. And that is the empowerment that American society presses on you. But that empowerment only leads you to be enslaved to debt and all the terrible things that society wants you to just be stuck and drudge in forever. As a creative, like I've said myself, I value myself in individuality. I don't like musical covers or remakes or sampling or anything like that because it's unoriginal. When I write my stories, I do my darndest to try and create a story that is as original to me and my experiences as possible. Because even though I want to be a unique individual, I still need to learn from those before me. Just as the stories that I'm telling will usually be based loosely off of something I've already read or experienced. Another popular reason why society puts the fist down on old ideologies is because they are old and outdated. Just think about classic ones like racism, homophobia, things of that nature, sexism. They all come from these old, outdated ideologies that are no longer relevant in society. And so if society convinces you that all these old, outdated ideologies have no value in them, then you're going to associate everything that those older people tell you with their zero-valued opinions. And so essentially, because this person might be old and bigoted, you're going to ignore their advice about college because they're old and bigoted. Why would I listen to anything that they have to say? And you have to take it up into chunks, you have to digest it separately, and you have to understand what pertains to you and what does not pertain to you. This leads us to the how section of this video. How was I able to leverage all of these pressures and become successful on my own? Simply put, I listened to those around me. How was I able to pay $16,000 in cash for my first brand new car? Again, I listened to people's advice. I heard what people had to say. I understood what they were saying to me. I took the bits that I could get use out of. I took the bits that I thought was relevant to me right there in that moment. I combined all of them into a yummy pie of yumminess, and that was the strategy that I used to be able to build enough money to be able to buy a car out in cash and avoid ever having a car loan. How did I land in a house that I built myself with my own two hands? Again, it comes down to listening. But in this case, I didn't only just listen to others, I buckled down and I did the work. I did the work that no one else was willing to do. My brother and I physically built this house from the ground up ourselves. And that's a lot of work, a lot of physical work that's hard on your body. But I saw the gold nugget at the end of that finishing line, and I was like, if I get to this, I'm gonna be in an incredible place. And where that incredible place landed me is in a home in this modern market with a mortgage of only $400 a month, which is pretty darn good if you ask me. So again, why is it important to not get bogged down by societal pressures to just focus on your individuality and nothing else? Think about the individual mindset as you doing a task entirely by yourself. Something just as simple as making videos, like it's something that we do here on this channel. If I'm doing all of the video making myself, which I am, it's going to take significantly longer than if I hired bits and pieces out and gave them to other people. And that's the communal effort behind it. So if I'm doing it by myself, I gotta record the video, that might take an hour. I gotta edit the video, that might take 2 to 3 hours. And that's just like the actual production of the video. That's not talking about how much time it takes me to come up with a title, develop a thumbnail, and do all that nonsense. Could be like a 3 to 4 hour thing. Whereas if I use the communal effort, and I used my resources, I reached out to other people, and I filmed the video myself, had someone else edit it, and had someone else come up with the thumbnail and title for me, then I could possibly have that task that was taking like 5 to 6 hours done in like 1 hour. So why does my experience with other cultures help me realize the importance of not chasing individuality? It comes down to culture. As I've said before, a lot of these pressures into individuality come specifically from American society, and it comes from society because it's something that keeps you trapped in their cogs and in their wheels and doing exactly what they want you to do. I had an intern at work who was from Nepal, and he was very eye-opening because in that culture, people do not leave their family homes ever. They stay in the family homes, and like he grew up, his grandparents were in the family home, his parents were in the family home, and if he hadn't have come to America, he would have stayed in that family home as well. What that does is it locks in generational wealth, because that family home has been paid off now for several generations. Could you imagine living in a life in modern American society in a home that never had to be paid for? Like, your parents didn't have a mortgage, you don't have a mortgage, your grandparents probably didn't even have a mortgage. It was probably paid off by your great-grandparents, and you've just been living and existing in this house that's completely free of living, and you own the place outright. Like, that is insane to think about in the modern American society, because that sort of generational wealth just does not happen, and it does not exist. And why does that not happen? Why does that not exist? It doesn't exist because, again, our obsession with individuality. But let's play devil's advocate here, specifically against the cultural differences that I brought up before. What's the likelihood of anybody getting along with their parents well enough to spend their entire life with them and to just continually live in the same place, be in the same house forever? That's not a reality that works for everyone. There is no one reality that works for everyone. I think that comes without saying, but here, especially in America, that's not a reality that works for everyone. Not only are you, the child, probably not willing to do that, but most parents probably aren't too thrilled about doing that either. Like, eventually they're gonna want to be empty nesters. Some parents are totally fine without being empty nesters. Some parents can't wait to be empty nesters. Everybody is different. Everybody's situation is individually, and some kids may be unfortunate enough to be in a parental situation that isn't completely healthy for them either. So when they get to 18, they have to get out because where they are is not healthy. And those realities exist. So to say that the simple answer to this question is, oh, just stay in the family home, never move out, and become financially successful that way, is obviously not the answer. I think it's important to be aware of that method, because if it is something that is applicable to you, because I know several friends of mine who are into their 30s now and still living with their parents, and I'm like, look, I'm not going to judge you for the way that you're living, but if you are not absolutely just stocking away buckets and buckets of money, then you're doing it wrong. Ultimately, there's 340 million people living in America right now, and in a recent survey conducted January of this year, only 8% of them reported on being absolutely miserable in their life. That means that 312 million of us seem to be pretty satisfied in our current life situation, living America the way that America was intended to be lived. So here's what it all comes down to. I oftentimes tell people there's so many ways to win at life, and you must first decide what winning looks like for you. If winning for you is something that values individuality in your life above all else, then this video was a waste of your time and you can discard it and go pursue your individuality. But if your value in life is something that focuses more on success, whether it be financial success, financial freedom, things of that nature, then I feel you will find that there's tons of value to be had in being a communal person who learns from the experiences of people who came before them, who observes the things that happens around them, and takes all of that in to bake up their own pie of successful life goodness. Per the usual, I have my books available on Amazon, I've got my own animation here on YouTube, and I've got more videos about productivity and awesomeness here on this channel. If you were to check any of those out, I'd be forever grateful. Thank you, and I'll catch you on the next one.